guys, Jackie M. Let me just make sure it's all working okay. Let me know if you got any problems hearing me, and thanks so much for joining me. If you watch me all the time, you'll notice there's been a little bit of rejigging with my cameras and all that. It's because I've been like spending the weekend just moving things around my place, and I need more bench space. I've had to move my webcams a little bit to the right, so I know it looks a little bit skewed. Hopefully I'll be able to fix it when I have more time. But first of all, shout outs to Lenovo Australia. I'm using my Lenovo. Unfortunately, the logo is on the other side of the laptop, but I'm using a Lenovo Yoga Y700 gaming laptop supplied by Lenovo Australia for my live stream. So thanks very much for that. And also shout out to Rode microphones for the microphones I use for my live stream. And again, if you've got any problems hearing me, let me know, because I don't know if it's a Twitch thing or whatever it is, but apparently during my vodcast, my audio wasn't working. For those who don't know, vodcasting is just basically replays of my broadcast, all right? This is live now. If you're watching this on Monday at 12:30 p.m. Sydney time, it's GMT plus 10. But when I'm not live streaming, I usually run replays of my broadcast. Hey, thanks, Brad. For those who aren't actually, who aren't actually able to catch my live streams, they can watch the replays when they go to jackiem.live. And if you're watching this anywhere else at all, because sometimes I rerun the live stream on other platforms like YouTube and Facebook. If you're watching this anywhere else at all, if you want to interact with me, your best bet is to follow me on Twitch. The short URL is just jackiem.live, L-I-V-E, okay? Otherwise, you can go to twitch.tv/JackieMFood, okay? They both take you to the same page on my Twitch channel, but that's where you will be able to interact with me live, okay? Again, if you've got any problems hearing me, please let me know. I don't know if there's static or if there's audio problems unless you tell me. So, and I'm just, again, because I've rejigged my layout, I don't have my other laptop nearby where I can read the comments too efficiently. So I'm still thinking through this new layout. I know this is called
where I can read the comments too.
Okay, here we go. So clearly my audio is working. Hey Brad, how you doing? Let me just go to Nightbot. So I've got these automated messages that I use for my live streams, but let me just disable them during my live stream. Let me have a look. Timers, website, verse of the day. Okay, so verse of the week is from Revelation 21:4, in case you're wondering. And don't forget to join my Discord server if you are. Good to see you, Brad, and say hello to Great Grandma next time you see her. Yeah. Okay, so I know this is called the Live Asian Kitchen, but today I'm going to attempt a non-Asian recipe, depending on the time, because this is a baking recipe. I'm not a baker by any stretch of the imagination, and it's my first attempt at it, so hopefully it will turn out. And hey, Dibs, thanks for hosting. And hopefully this will turn out. Like I said, this was a recipe that was sent through by Tease Me Girl. Is that her handle on everybody's handle changes depending on where they are at. But the other thing I want to mention as well, just to shout out, yeah, Tease Me Girl sent this through by my Discord channel. Hi Links, hey, how you doing? And thanks for the comment about the audio. I didn't realize, because something other than, can that be made? Oh yeah, absolutely, it can be made with something other than a pressure cooker. I'm using a pressure cooker because apparently this is super simple. It was sent through by Tease Me Girl, who says that it was very, very easy. So easy enough even for someone like me to have a crack at. When I do Asian cooking, I usually can do it blindfolded, one hand tied behind my back. But with Western cooking, I get a little bit lost, but I like the challenge, okay? And I've got this pressure cooker over here. This is basically in Australia, because I know in the USA there's been this big craze about the Instant Pot, right? I don't have an Instant Pot, not yet, but I do have this what is meant to be an even better version of it, which is an optimum induction pressure cook pro. So I'm still playing around with it. This was sent out to me a few weeks ago by the distributor, which is Prestige Home Appliances here in Australia. Okay, so I'm not getting paid to plug it. I'm just using it to test out the recipes, and if it works, I'll post it on my website, which is jackiem.com.au. So New York cheesecake, I have the recipe here. I'm trying to juggle in between a number of different screens, so bear with me a little bit, guys. Hey Cyan, how you doing? So it's definitely your side. I was a bit worried my earbuds were broken. You know, all honesty, this is from Highlinks about audio problems, because they commented during my replays earlier that the audio wasn't working. So I'm guessing it is in fact a problem at the Twitch server end, because I've noticed a number of times with my Twitch vodcasts, and unfortunately, obviously, because I run the vodcast quite regularly in case people from other platforms, most of my followers are actually from outside of Twitch. When I plug my Twitch URL on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, I tell people, hey, go and check out my Twitch channel. They go over there, and if it says offline, they get a little bit confused. So I'd rather they actually see a replay of a past broadcast. But I've noticed with the replays that there have been some glitches, especially in the last week or so. Apparently sometimes the audio was out of sync, and then overnight I saw someone comment that there was no image at all, and today Highlinks mentioned that there was no audio. So let me know if there's it's a little bit glitchy. Again, best way to contact me is on Twitch. You can either send me a whisper, because during the vodcast, you know, it doesn't tell me when someone comments, unfortunately, the Twitch chat room. But yeah, you can send me a Twitch whisper, or you can go to my Discord channel, which is bit.ly/discordjackie, all lowercase, okay? And that will take you to my Discord channel. For those of you who are wondering what Discord is, I'm actually quite new on Twitch, all right? I've only been broadcasting for about 5 months now. But Discord, I'm even newer at. But the way it was described to me is that Discord is kind of like WhatsApp for gamers, okay? So you can imagine, if you treat it like WhatsApp, you know, which I guess, you know, older people like us are a little bit more familiar with. Hey, Sarah, how you doing? I'm going to be doing a non-Asian recipe. Look, to be fair, apparently this will take about half an hour to bake after everything is done, right? So in that period, I might just try and squeeze in some Asian cooking as well. But we will see how we go. Okay, let me just try and pull up the recipe. Again, this is courtesy of Tease Me Girl on Discord, and there is actually, if you go to my Discord server, you'll find there are a number of what's called channels, okay, hashtag whatever, hashtag food talk, hashtag stories and all that, and that is where you can post your basically recipe suggestions, and I will have a go at it. I mean, within reason, obviously, but if you've got anything that you want to challenge me to have a go at making, or you just think it's really good and I should have a go at making it, let me know. I'll be more than happy to give it a shot, okay? So this is the first time I'm doing this on Twitch, by the way. I used to do this on YouTube back in the early days when I was live streaming there, and people used to submit their recipes, okay? So that is actually kind of like interesting in itself. But apparently I got stuck, first of all, where it said I needed graham crackers, okay? First of all, I'm actually using only a half batch of this, and this is I'm pretty sure this actually came with the air fryer, but I'm gonna actually use this baking pan in the pressure cooker. Okay, let's see how we go. But first of all, it says I needed 10 gram crackers equivalent to 120 grams, okay? And I had a look, because like I said, I don't bake, and I certainly don't do a lot of Western cooking, if any. But I had to Google graham crackers, and apparently you can't get it here in Australia, okay? So there are all kinds of suggestions on all these different forums. And I ended up going with what we call here Scotch fingers, okay? I don't know how far off the mark this is. So I need, first of all, 120 grams of graham crackers, but I'm only doing a half batch, so that will be 60 grams. And part of the reason I'm doing a half batch is because I only bought the 1 pack of cream cheese, and I realized that's actually not enough. Okay, and I just have to remind myself that to halve everything, okay, because I've been known to get a little bit confused live on air. And in case you're wondering about the resolution, if this looks a little bit dodgy, all right, the resolution, I've actually reduced the resolution on my live stream because I'm chewing up so much data that I'm worried that I might actually run out of data. Discord's great. Okay, good. That's good. Yeah, Discord is for gaming. Sounds funny using it for this. Oh, Sarah, come on. You of all people. Don't give me a hard time about it. Scotch fingers sounds like a good idea. You think it is? Okay. Someone actually used a chat during Online Kingdom. Sarah, you of all people, I wouldn't imagine to be a gamer. The Marie biscuits, ginger nuts are good depending on what flavor you want. Huh, okay, resolution is okay, good. Hey, Kettle, how you doing? How's your dad? We had the funniest time on Saturday night, okay? Saturday night, Sydney time. And we totally got trolled about this. But anyway, Saturday night, by the way, guys, is when I do my giveaways. And also when I don't actually cook, but we just kind of talk about random stuff, all right? It's essentially community chat. But everyone to this point has been too shy to actually join me in the community and actually talk to me live on air. So they just post text chats, all right? But but I think all of us got badly trolled that night. But I'll get into it later on when we have time to talk. But let's get on to this. So I need my measuring scale. Someone's going to kill me about this again. Hang on. Because I've got like this this manual scale, all right? And the reason I'm using a manual scale is because I got tired of replacing the batteries on electronic scales. So I don't know if this will give me 60 grams. Okay, yeah, it will. Okay, there's a little bit. There's not a lot of finesse in how I do my cooking because I hate measuring things to the nth degree, okay? But okay, 60 grams is equivalent to about 3 biscuits. I have a feeling I need more. I don't know what Saturday night parties I didn't know about Saturday night parties. I'll definitely join. Okay, okay, there's more like 80 grams. So I'm inclined to feel that it needs more than that because 3 biscuits doesn't sound like a lot even for something that's small, okay? How big is this? Let's have a look. This is about 5 inches across, okay? I'm very old school because I'm very old. So when I went to school in Malaysia, we started like our education learning everything in imperial measurements. So that stuck with me, okay? So I think certain things in imperial and others in metric, because at some point they transition from one to the other. So so it's a little bit confusing for everyone. Drives people nuts, but I'm not the sort of person who likes to who likes to stick to one particular type of measurement. Okay, cool. Here you go. So what do I want to do with this? I want to actually crush this. So I'm going to throw this into one of my kitchen machines, my super duper kitchen machines up the back here. And I'm just trying to make sure I don't lose the... oh, bummer. What did I just do with the recipe? Here we go. I think I just closed it by accident, did I? Discord. Okay. Okay, here we go. Finally ground the graham crackers in the food processor. Okay, let's do this. Okay. That's my Thermomix up the back there that came back from repairs. So there you go, 4 in there, and we're going to crush this. Like I said, I hope this works out okay, right? And like I said, I really should actually, you know what, I am going to do it. So just give me 2 seconds. Okay, I'm just gonna, let's make it easier for me so I can actually, so this is also a Lenovo. It's my ThinkPad X1 Yoga. So I'm going to be able to read the comments on one screen while I watch my broadcast on another. Okay, sounds a little bit complicated. Okay. And sorry about the visual, guys. I'm just going to try and move things around a little bit, but I've got at kettle. Okay, let me just move this. Okay, you saw what was on the in my box. It's basically a bunch of language books. That's kind of like I'm one of these people who are a little bit eclectic in what I do off when I'm not broadcasting. So one of the things I do is that I try and brush up on the languages I studied or grew up learning. Okay, so let's pause this. Okay, let's see. And by the way, guys, you know, I've been, that looks fine enough, right? I think it's okay. Okay. And what do I have to add to this? Update on my dad, by the way, his leg is healing, my leg is fine. I promise you, you are totally trolling us. I'm gonna tell everyone what happened later on. But anyway, okay, a pinch of sea salt. Okay, so that's half a pinch of sea salt. Remember, I have to halve everything, okay? And 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, which I don't have. I'm just gonna use regular sugar. Small mixing bowl and a fork. And I'm supposed to mix them together into the graham crackers. So I'm gonna just throw them back in here. And they recommend blind baking the crust, 325 degrees. Someone gave us a deep fryer last week though. Hi Links, oh, you totally need to hear about what happened. But anyway, yeah. So I've been giving away, and I think moving forward, I'm going to be doing the giveaways during my Saturday night broadcast, right? Hang on. Saturday night Sydney time, which is 10 p.m. Sydney time, which is GMT plus 10, in case you're wondering, which is usually Saturday morning over in North America. But like I said, I don't do any cooking at that time. I just read stories submitted by people or stories that I find online or in books that I find interesting. Okay, and I think moving forward, I'm going to be doing my giveaways there. So try and catch that, and that's on at 10 p.m. like I said, and the giveaways are, let me just show them to you. So the giveaways are basically Rode microphones. Okay, so this is pretty damn cool, right? Rode microphones, they work on your iPhone or Android or iPad. And Lenovo mini speakers. Okay, these are courtesy of Rode Microphones Australia and Lenovo Australia respectively. Okay, so the draw is random, but you have to be around. Okay, you have to actually first of all, you have to be a follower, and second of all, you need to respond when your name is drawn within 60 seconds. So we know, because people get impatient if the name gets drawn and then they don't respond. People want me to redraw it. Okay, so you got 60 seconds from the time your name is called, but I'm going to do it on Saturday night Sydney time. Okay. And right now I've got about half a dozen of each of those left to draw. Okay. I was sent 10 of each of them. Very fancy microphone. It is. It is. And you know what? Giveaway. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I want to make sure that the commands are right. Kettle is pretty on the ball with that sort of stuff. What do you mean trolling about getting your house blown to pieces? Isn't if that's disturbing you joke about you need to visit a mental ward? Okay. Okay. Anyway, so there you go. So I'm going to put the salt in here. Like I say, bear with me, guys. Like I said, baking is not my forte by any stretch of the imagination. I need a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, and I need to convert 325 degrees to Celsius. So what are we? 325 degrees. Anyone can do the calculation quickly for me, or while I do this, while I put in the ingredients together. So sea salt, brown sugar, and 1/4 cup of flour, 32 grams, 18 grams of flour basically, which this isn't going to be able to measure because it's too smaller. the measurements. Okay, let's just spoon them in. So quarter cup would be 1/8 of a cup times 240, 230. So it's about 16 grams. Okay, let's put in the flour. Need a little bit more than that. Okay, so I'm already 162 degrees. That's a very low setting. Okay, thanks for that, Hilings. Okay, salt. And I'm just using white sugar because I don't have brown. I guess white sugar is meant to be a bit more, I guess brown sugar is meant to be a little bit more sticky, but this is all I got. How much does it say again? 2 teaspoons, so I just want 1 teaspoon of that. So I just get mad when people say I'm trolling about my true life. Okay. Pinch of sea salt. Okay. Right here. Okay, so all this, and what do I want to do with it? I kind of feel like it doesn't say anything about adding water or anything like that, because how is it going to stick together? It shows how lost I get when it comes to Western cooking, alright? Okay, I'm supposed to mix this and then add in some butter, okay? 3 to 4 tablespoons, which will be about 2 tablespoons of butter. And it's meant to be, it's meant to make it stick together. It's meant to be melted as well, so let's go melt this. You know what? I actually followed a recipe to the T. Like I said, I don't like measuring things, okay? But because on my last broadcast, or actually middle of last week, I did this thing that I said I'd never actually tasted, so I decided to follow the recipe to the T. And it didn't work out either. So it goes to show that a lot of things that you come across, you have to take with a pinch of salt, all right, guys? So 3 to 4 tablespoons, which would make it 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. Okay. Yeah, that was the jicama rolls that I made on Wednesday. Yeah, following the recipe to the T, it didn't turn out like basically. Yeah, I fried it up and it was really, really chewy and just tasted like paste, you know, like, because it had some flour in it, with a little bit of wetness to kind of like help bind everything together, basically the shredded jicama sort of thing. And when you fry it up, all you can taste is the flour, because it just tasted really like gum, if you can imagine. So yeah, not good. So okay, melt this while I mix this up. Okay, recipe schmiss. I know, right? Yeah, not a fan of brown sugar. Look, I just don't do Western cooking, and like Asian cooking doesn't really call for brown sugar. Recipes are just guides. I totally agree. I'm glad people see it that way, because when I write recipes, if ever you go to my website and look at my recipes, take everything with a pinch of salt, all right? Because a lot of the time it's just what I call agak, which in Malay means guesstimating sort of thing. So when I cook, I instinctively put in like, you know, what I need. But then when I have to actually write it, publish it sort of thing, I then retroactively think, oh, I think about this amount, about that amount sounds about right, but everything is kind of like, yeah, it's not measured. Like, you know, this particular cheesecake recipe, it actually says, this comes from pressurecookrecipes.com, all right, and it actually says it's their attempt at number 17, okay, so these people actually do this professionally, and they have the luxury of making 17 cheesecakes to get it just right. I don't have that luxury, okay? Okay, let's mix this up. So this is just to roughly mix up all the dry ingredients. I'm gonna grab the butter. So here's the butter cheesecakes need butter. Yeah. All right. I have a feeling that Scotch fingers aren't quite as sweet as graham crackers. All right, because one thing they did suggest online was to use something called Arnott's Nice biscuits. Arnott's Nice, and when I googled what Arnott's Nice was, and that's another thing, I don't buy snacks. I don't eat snacks, you know. When I googled it, it looks like biscuits that have like sugar sprinkled on top, sort of thing. So yeah, I guess it must be sweeter, but I'm not gonna try and sweeten things this further than that, because I generally, in all honesty, find a lot of Western cakes too sweet, you know. Okay, let's have a look. 17 cheesecakes to get it right. It might be pressure cooker's not the best idea. Don't say that. I know, I'm having, no, the nice ones are too sugary. Is that right? Okay. Okay, so this has got the butter added to it. Now I'm supposed to actually line this pan with it, but first I need to put baking paper over it, all right? What about milk arrowroot? Yeah, I thought about arrowroot actually, but I do have arrowroot here because my kid Noah loves arrowroot biscuits. But nobody suggested it, and I figured maybe arrowroot might be a little bit too soft, you know, because it's kind of like it's meant to melt in your mouth, sort of thing. So 162 degrees, I guess. Let me just. I'm gonna preheat the air fryer, because I'm gonna use the air fryer to. So I've been rearranging my place all weekend, so. I'm a little bit lost about what goes with. Okay, let's just 60 degrees to heat it up. And in the meantime, I don't even know how to do this. I don't know how to line the pan, the bowl, the pan. So I guess I tear it off here, and then cut some slits around this, so that it will sit flush in here. Not big on whiskey, fireball whiskies, alright. I'm currently cooking Georgian whiskey chocolate. Georgian as in Georgia, the country? You know, kettle is from Georgia, apparently. You should ask kettle about it. Okay, let's cut this. Grease the pan first, then it will stick. Oh, you mean grease the pan so the paper will stick on it? Alright. That makes sense. Okay, I've got like virtually no butter left, but what is in there, I will just kind of like grease this with. Like I said, this is only a tiny little thing. I think this is meant to be for a 7-inch pan with, you know, those the spring release bottom things, and I don't have one of those because I don't do any baking, you know. Okay, let's do this. But I'd love to stay and watch. Unfortunately, got a lecture. Oh, cool, no worries. Thanks for hanging around, Harlings. Good to see you. Don't forget to connect with me on Discord, right? And talk about Saturday night to make sure you show up for the draw. If anyone asks you if you want to go to Georgia, say no and get a new friend, please, because they want you dead. There you go, Sarah. Don't go to Georgia. Just cook the food. Don't go to Georgia. Okay. So this, let me just see if I can just cut this. And by the way, guys, like I said, my drawer for the Lenovo mini speakers and the, am I doing this right? I need this further in, and we'll see how we go. I'm a total cowboy when it comes to anything to do with baking, alright? Okay, well, it won't send my message. Okay, cut a strip for the side. Oh, okay. For a cheesecake, cut the circle to fit the base. Okay. See, you know more than me. But yeah, it's so easy to win my giveaways that I promise you. I've had 3 people win one of each of the microphone and the mini speaker. Can you believe that? Because I don't give them away together, but 3 people have already won one of each of them. Says a lot about my audience. And beyond that, I've had one person win a speaker, which was a redraw because the original winner did not respond, right? So some people must have me on in the background and not pay attention when they want a prize, okay? Also, I'm doing a really bad job of cutting this in a circle. Also, if you've got any stories, post them on my Discord server, otherwise send me a whisper in any case. Okay, so this is in there, and I'm supposed to cut a strip around. I'll sort of listen in the stream in the background, see how important the lecture is. What lecture are you listening to? Keep saying my message isn't appropriate. Hey, tease me girl, how you doing? I'm making your recipe, alright? Tease me girl made a really beautiful cheesecake out of this recipe. She posted on Discord, alright? And I'm hoping mine doesn't fail. Okay. So I'm supposed to cut a strip. I think this may not be wide enough. I might have to cut it this way. Okay. Okay. Send it as a whisper, Sarah. Send it as a whisper, and then I can have a look at it. Just representation, it's a foundation subject, don't really have much choice. Okay, cool. And whereabouts are you doing this? Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so I want it about, I guess about this deep. How do I do that? You should see like a message box. It's like sending me a private message. So if you can see a chat. Look, Sarah, let me make you a mod, all right? That way you. Okay. Leave a lip. Oh, okay, right, okay. So. There you go. That's a very big lip I've left. Is this adequate? Put the lip through the bottom of the spring foam. I don't have a spring foam. This is just a regular pan. Yeah, I have a giant spring foam. It's not mine. It came with this property because this is actually my sister's place. And she no longer lives here, she lives overseas, but she left behind all her kitchen gear. But the giant spring foam is missing its space for whatever reason. Oh, then just line like this. Okay, cool. So that's that, and I'm supposed to scrape this down. It feels a little bit crumbly. I hope that's not going to be a problem. It's meant to be sticky. Okay. It works for a regular pan. Oh, okay, cool, cool. See this here with the butter. I guess once I kind of like press it down, it should be okay. But okay. So let's toss this in. I don't know if I'm doing it right. Does it look too crumbly? I have a sword next to my name now. Yeah, that means you can post anything. Okay. I don't know how thick this should be, but I saw pictures where it showed the stuff should be crumbly. Okay, good. Oh, this got a lip on it. Don't know if this will work, but you're supposed to kind of press this down, right? Hey Remy, Yeah, everyone, Remy won both prizes on Saturday night. And before that, Joe won both prizes in the last week or two. And then before that, Devlot won both prizes on 2 separate occasions. Isn't that crazy? Either these people, either, no, I can't, no, it's not like, some of them I don't even draw on the same day, you know, so it's not like it was rigged or anything like that. But it's a random draw, but I'm gonna draw them on Saturdays, I think. And I think there should be a way, if I can figure it out, if I can be bothered to figure it out, I think we should reward those who spend most time watching, as opposed to someone who just happened to stumble into my stream and then walk away with a bunch of prizes. Yeah, you pressed it, that's correct, okay. And I'm supposed to have like, it's meant to kind of like come up a bit, okay. Let me put some gloves on. Sarah, you sound like you've done this before. Okay, and I can't believe you're a gamer either. You of all people. For those who don't know, well, obviously most people wouldn't know, but Sarah's actually one of my customers from years and years ago, because I used to have a real world, I still have a real world business to some extent. So I do actually, you know, I do actually cook for a living. I do actually sell food, okay? So money does exchange, it does change hands when people want to eat my food. But Sarah is someone who's been buying food from me for years and years and years. Okay, this lip thing isn't like, this thing is falling off. I love baking. Hey Deflot, how you doing? We were just talking about you. About how you rigged the giveaway. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, actually, you know, Deflot not only won one of each of my microphones and speakers, but they actually won again on Saturday night, and they pulled themselves out of the draw just to give others a chance. Isn't that crazy? So it is. I miss your restaurant. And yes, I'm a gamer. Oh, that is crazy. Rigging draws. I know. It's crazy. I just sent Deflot's prize away off, right? I mean, you know, it took me forever to get to the post office. Finally sent it off, and then the next night or 2 nights later, they won again. I was like, no way, this is crazy. And they were gracious enough to ask for a redraw so someone else could win. So it goes to show it's not that hard to win stuff on my channel, right? Your cookie base is perfect. Just mash a silicone spatula best you can, then bake it. Okay, cool. This thing is fallen out, so I'm just going to leave it out. So hopefully the base itself should be enough. Spatula, okay. See, you guys should be doing this. Like I said, I don't bake, so I have no idea about this. Never made a cheesecake in my life, so this is going to be a first. Well, I have attempted that Asian baked cheesecake a few weeks ago. That was fine, but that didn't have this. And I just need to rig a lot of numbers, I know. Yep. Okay, so how dense does this need to be, guys? So I'm actually going to bake this. I don't know, Taste Me Go, whether you bake yours or whether you just chilled it. Because there are 2 ways to do the base, all right? If you didn't put the flour in like I did, you can actually just chill it or freeze it or something like that for a few hours. But it would apparently result in a less firm base. We could teach each other. I know. That's assuming I actually like baked goods, which, you know, I don't generally eat like a lot of sweets, in all honesty. I tend to be more of a savory person. I mean, if I had a family full of like teenagers, I'd probably bake more, but it's just me and Noah. Noah's only 5 years old, and he's got a very Asian palate as well. I probably got that from me. I made risotto live on air last week twice, right, for a client. Once live here, and then later on I did it live on the client's social media platforms, and Noah refuses to eat it. Say something about he says something either about my risotto or about the fact that he's such an Asian kid. I baked it. Okay, cool. Rightio. Let's see how long it says to bake it for. What does it say? Parchment paper, did not use any butter. Okay, so 15 minutes, 325 degrees. Air fryer does tend to be hotter than, well, the heat's more concentrated, so I don't know if 160 degrees might be too hot, but let's just do it. Okay, and for 15 minutes, okay. So I'm actually doing this in the air fryer, right? Because I do have a tabletop oven here, but it just seems easier in the air fryer. Okay, in this goes 15 minutes. Okay, so let's go on to the filling. Okay, make the cheesecake batter. Step 1, mix the sugar mixture. I think I might just want to actually just rinse this out. So give me a second while I do that. And don't forget, guys, hop onto my Discord server, yeah? So if there's anything you want me to make in particular, I'll be more than happy to do that. And it's quite funny because Sarah asked me like a year ago about this particular Singaporean dish, which I keep meaning to do, but just haven't gotten around to it. Okay, now I just want to wipe this down a little bit. Discord. Did anyone see my cake in Discord? No, what cake? Bake for 15 minutes, but I omitted the flour just because I've never added flour to cookie crust. Ah, okay. Pick on my cake on Discord. When did you post it, Kettle? I lost it in my Breville convection. I toss it in my convection oven while I make the batter. Okay. Popia? Ah, yeah. Actually, I thought about popia too, because I managed to find some jicama or yam bean or sakot or sengguang, depending on where you grew up. And I thought, yeah, I should make some popia with it. The only thing I need to experiment with is, because when I used to make popia for those who don't know, is like a Malaysian fresh spring roll, but the skin is kind of like, it all hangs on like how you make the skin, and you're meant to make the skin fresh. And I'm one of the very few people, I'm one of the very few people with an actual online presence who know how to make the skin fresh. All right, but there are a few like things that come into play, like the humidity and all that sort of stuff. So I need to play around with it a little bit more. I haven't made it for like 5 years. Hey Kay, looks like every other cake, so you saw it. Oh, come on. By the time my crust is done making, usually it's out for about 10 to 15 while I finish making the batter. Then just dump the batter, even if it's still a bit warm, to pressure cook. Okay, that's good to know. You saw the cake. Are you sure? Kettle's cake. I don't remember seeing it. So here we go. Let's do this. When did you post it, Kettle? I'll look after this. Okay. So I got a sea salt. No. Briefly beat the cream cheese. 16 ounces, 454 grams. So I need half of that, which is 227. Okay, I'm not going to be that precise. You know what? I just remembered. The Thermomix comes with built-in scales, and I haven't used the built-in scales because they broke down like a year ago. But that's why I actually sent it away for repair. So it should work now. I just posted 5 minutes ago. Oh, okay, I'll look at it then. That's an awesome cake. Input talk. Okay, I'll check it out. Did you actually make it though, Kettle? And Kettle, you need to talk to Kay, because oh, okay. I won't say anything beyond that. Okay. So this is it. 227. So let's bring on the scales. Add ingredient and weigh. you know, in all honesty, I just realized this is a 250 block, so I'm gonna just use all of it. I'm not gonna just take out a tiny bit to get it to 227. Again, I just, first of all, I have no use for the remaining little bit of it. Okay, so in that goes, it's 240. Oh, okay, no worries, Sarah. I'm living in an apartment, somebody took you in. Remy, I mentioned how Kettle was trolling us on Saturday night and he got really mad. Okay, so this. Everyone's really confused about what happened on Saturday night. So, okay, let me just move this, and I want to briefly whip this. Wait, let me just see what it says. This lecture is weird. We're watching a black and white film. Quite well made for its time. What's it called? I'm that old that I might actually know it. Okay, so beat the cream cheese for 1 minute with hand mixer using low speed, or basically you got two options with this recipe. You can either have a dense batter or a creamy batter. I think I worry that a creamy batter might be too runny. So let's do the dense one. So briefly break it up for 10 seconds with a hand mixer, which I'm not using, on low speed. Okay. Okay, that's like 3 seconds in the Thermomix. Okay, it's not completely beaten up, but it was real. My house got shot up. I believe that could happen. Okay, you think I wasn't trolling? What happened Saturday night? It was real. Okay, so okay, I'll let Kettle explain to you guys on chat what happened on Saturday night. All right. And Kay, since you're you're like the super mod, you would be able to sniff it out if it's real or not. Okay. My leg got grazed by a bullet. My dad's leg got pretty much mangled. And okay, who knows anything about Georgia? Georgia, not the state, but Georgia in Europe, the country, the former USSR. Okay. Because Kettle lives in Georgia, and right in the middle of our live stream, it's near Russia. Yeah, it's near Russia. Who knows about it? Okay. So this happened Saturday night, yes. And I know it's near Russia. I know nothing about its current political situation. I Googled it, but it didn't say anything about there being a civil war. All right. Okay, yeah, you can do the grilling, okay? So, because we were all thinking the same thing, but we were too polite to say anything. But yeah. But Kettle, tell them what happened. Okay. So now I want sugar. They're doing everything very, very slow, okay? So they got mixed in, beat up the cream cheese. Now you want add half the sugar mixture, but it doesn't say how much sugar. Let me scroll it back up. Okay. So sugar, okay. 133 grams. I want 66 grams of sugar. Okay, so 66 grams of sugar. Okay. It feels to me that's actually too much sugar, but that's just me. Stray bullets. Wouldn't be walking around after getting grazed by a bullet. Okay, so sugar, mix in the sugar, and add the sour cream and vanilla. I'm going to throw in the sour cream at the same time. I want 60 grams of sour cream, okay, because That's the thing about baking recipes that seem so incredibly time consuming to me, that like you add one thing, you beat it and you fold it in gently, and then you add the next thing. It's like, to me, why can't I just throw it all in at the same time, you know? Okay, so I'm gonna throw in the sour cream. I want 60 grams of that. And I'm supposed to add some vanilla extract, which I don't have because, again, I don't do baking. And I want the cream cheese. Okay, so the cream cheese is already in there. So mix it up. 60 grams. Okay, so that's enough. And now I don't know what I'm going to use the rest of that sour cream for. And then I'm supposed to actually fold in the egg, or beat in the egg, blend in the eggs. Mix until just incorporated. Okay, let's do this first. Tease Me Girl, basically written in a really slow way. Don't you reckon? I know, right? And the way it's like broken up, I wish they would just kind of like, it's like they want to tell a story and really kind of emphasize the fact that they've spent like obviously hours and hours trying to finesse it. But I wish that just to lump all the ingredients and then have all the steps, because this is all broken up into like really, really gradual steps. Just pretentious, you know. there's no pretense about like what I do online, guys. I don't do clickbait. I don't do whatever sort of stuff. I just do what I hope is pure, honest attempts at cooking, and I share them as such. Okay, so I don't try and actually be cute or try and be sound bitey or anything like that. That's just how I roll. Okay, so that's that. Now I'm supposed to put in the egg and blend it until just nicely mixed. Try not to over mix this step. Okay, so let's crack this in. And so obviously a very, very low speed for a very, very quick, brief second. Okay, and then pour the batter into the pan, okay? Maybe some never like sour cream. Yeah, I don't know who wants a piece of my cake. Send it over. I'm pretty sure the recipe was written for people who need super detailed steps. Yeah, I just needed the ingredients this time and me too. If I end up posting this on my blog, okay, I hope I haven't overworked this. If I end up posting this on my blog, so after this I'm supposed to pressure cook it for, what does it say? With 1 cup of cold water, a steamer rack, foil sling, and instant pot. Kettle shared a recipe. I have to check it out afterwards. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so yeah, Saturday night there was a bit of excitement because Kettle said that his house got blown up halfway through our live stream, that he was hiding under his bed while the Russian patrol were coming in. Then he said he saw a severed leg fly through his window. And then he said that his dad just died. And then then he said the patrols left, and he checked his dad didn't die, was playing dead, but got his leg badly injured. And then this isn't sour cream isn't noticeable. This is a little bit lumpy. I don't know if I'm supposed to mix it in a little bit better. Which part of Georgia are you from? See, it's not just me, all right? If we got taken in, it's not just me, because everyone was asking if Kettle was okay. But seriously, if you go to Wikipedia, look up Georgia, there's no mention of a civil war. And it does mention that one of its top industry is tourism, okay? So let's just mix this a little bit better, because like I say, it seems a little bit lumpy. Okay. Okay, so that's the sound of the air fryer being done. Oops, this looks a little bit brown. Okay, I don't know if it's meant to look this brown. Let's take it out. Oops. A week who. Kettle said his mom died a few years ago. Okay, so out that comes. But this is going to be too hot for me to pour. I mean, even I know that, alright? But Tease Me Girl says you're supposed to let it, it's okay if it's warm, but it's going to be too hot, so sudden, how do you pronounce it anyway? Tbilisi. Tbilisi, okay. So it's a little soft, but it's a little bit brown. And we're going to pour this in and then cook it in the pressure cooker when it's cooled down a little bit, when the crust is cooled down a little bit. I'm enjoying my cake. And I moved things around. I moved my entire shelf over here and I forgot. So that's that. I'll let it cool down a little bit. I put a bit too much whiskey in it. So is your dad having some of that cake? I've got some fish paste here. I just don't think I should be tackling like fish paste when I'm in the middle of baking, in case he's loving it. Keep checking my own. Mute your Discord sound. Tito, thanks for following. I've got my Discord sound on. There you go. Happy now. Okay, so I've got some fish paste that I made the other day. You guys, if you followed my live streams last week, you would have seen how I made it, which is essentially, this is just basa fillets that's been blended in one of my kitchen machines and with a little bit of water because it'd been completely defrosted, so it had less moisture in it than it usually would do. So basa plus a bit of water plus some potato starch this time around I used, and also some seasoning, which is in my case chicken seasoning powder, chicken stock granules, plus white pepper. All right, so that's my go-to recipe for making fish paste, and this base recipe you can then use. Valence Twiggy, thanks for following. Tease Me Girl, just to warn you, the cake will be jiggly and probably look raw when you put it out of pressure cooking. After cooking, let it cool, do its thing in the fridge overnight, will be fine. Kim, yeah, thanks for following. I did have to use a paper towel to soak. That's the problem with cheesecake, you gotta let it chill. Yeah. Oh, the sound is super loud. Is it really? Is it really? Let me just turn it down a little bit. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I saw with your cheesecake, Tease Me Girl, that you put some. Is it raspberries on top? It looks pretty cool. I don't have anything for it to go on it though. But yeah, so this is the base, fish paste base that you can use for a number of different things. I did use it after I went live on air the other day. But what I want to do is actually stuff the rest of this. I had basically 3 times this amount of fish paste, right, from 2 kilos of bass fillets. And in Australia, bass fillets, you can buy them in the freezer section of your local supermarket. You can buy them at Aldi for $6.50 a kilo, and also at Woolworths it's for $6. Don't know about Coles. I haven't been to Coles for yonks. But yeah, that would be your best bet if you're shopping for it. And the reason I use bass is simply because it's the cheapest fish I can find, all right? And also it's got some stickiness to it, okay? So not all fish will lend themselves to being made into a paste. You want the kind of fish where the flesh is a little bit sticky. And like I said, bass is the cheapest. Otherwise, you're looking, if you're buying like something more traditional that they use for making fish paste, which would be mackerel or redfish fillets, they cost upwards of like $20 a kilo, okay? In fact, mackerel costs closer to like $30 a kilo. So bass at $6.50 to me is the cheapest option. And from this, you can then make fish balls, whether boiled or steamed or fried, or you can make stuffed veggies. Kettle is now following. Didn't you already follow me? Did you use peanut butter? I had a few raspberries from the garden. Oh, you grow raspberries? That's crazy. And then baby brothers. Oh, is that what it was? Okay, Kettle, let me check your let me check your cake. You can't just eat a cheesecake right away. Yeah, I know, that's a pity, because then I wish we can see the end result right away. I lack the patience for things that have to wait, you know. That's probably why I haven't attempted cheesecake in the past. Okay, Discord, let me look up your cake. Kettle, yeah, right, you made it. Let me have a look. Tease me, girl. Oh, that's another cake. Cheesecake using the recipe posted, flavored with 30 grams dehydrated powdered raspberries. Oh wow, you can do that? That's cool. Yeah, Kettle, you made that totally. I hosted you. Oh, okay, thank you. Thanks for that. Can't tell you any ingredients, sorry. Yeah, because you didn't make it, that's why. It's not bad, yeah, yeah, where did you find the picture? What do you mean by that? Okay, so again, that's the fish that I'm going to hopefully use. And in the meantime, I've got some chilies that I plan to stuff with the fish. So these are $10 a kilo chilies, only green ones. For whatever reason, I can't find like red chilies at my local greengrocer at all. And I can find fairly expensive ones at my Asian grocery store. I don't know if it's the time of the year or what it is, but these are what we're going to stuff some of this fish paste with. These are what we're going to stuff with some of this fish paste, okay? And then I've got some fried up tofu, okay? It looks a little bit mangled because the oil I used was a bit tired and all. And then I've got my favorite, which is eggplant, okay? So I'm going to cut some of this up and use up the rest of this with, because it's a green grocer, yeah, right. So you want a red grocer. Tease me, girl. Yes, in Discord, in the food talk. Yeah, post any recipes you want me to have a go at making, all right, in food talk. So let me get another knife and cutting board and I'll be back. And it hasn't rained for weeks in Sydney. I was counting on it not raining and it's pouring, like it's raining cats and dogs at the moment. I checked the radar and it showed that because they predicted 90% chance of rain today. And I checked the radar and it looked like it was actually going to miss Sydney altogether. So I took my chances, put out my laundry, and of course it's all drenched now. So this is my super knife, okay. I'd like to be able to offer this as a giveaway one day. That's an incredible cake. We need the rain so bad. Are you in Sydney? Oh yeah, wait, you are, aren't you? I keep forgetting where everyone's watching from, so sorry if I've asked you this before, right? First you said I was trolling about my house being shot up, now you say my cake is fake. Why would you take a picture of, of the internet? Heavy rain and thunder here in Perth. Oh really? Oh, that's... We kind of need the rain in all honesty, you're right. I mean, Sydney has the best weather, okay? It's winter and it's dry, and yesterday was 27 degrees Celsius, which is like, what, 80 degrees or something like that. But, you know, I guess it has to rain some of the time, so it's raining today now, and it's supposed to be sunny again tomorrow. But I made the mistake, like I said, I had some laundry and I didn't really want to hang on to it. I didn't want it to kind of like sit in the washing machine overnight, you know, so... Over where you live, maybe it's been raining quite a bit down here. Is that right? Really? Whereabouts are you? Are you... Okay, welcome to my world, Kettle. First you said I was trolling. Such a nice weekend. Yeah, it was fantastic. Like I say, you know, I always, I like to troll Melbournians about their weather. Okay, so this is warm now. It's not hot anymore. I think it should be able to withstand the cream cheese filling. Okay, so it's currently 12 degrees in Celsius, I know, right? Okay, I need some water in here. I need about a cup of water. I've got some water in the kettle because it says to use cold water. But the difference between this pressure cooker and the instant pot is that this lid does not detach, okay? This lid just flips open, whereas the instant pot lid, you know, it doesn't really matter because I can actually boil the water in here, but let's just pour hot water in here so it's faster, okay? Okay, so apparently I only need 1 cup of hot water in here. Water anyway. And I've got the trivet in here. Okay, so this is the trivet. And I'm supposed to pressure cook it for, I think it says 30 minutes or so, give or take. Okay, let's do this. Before that, I'm supposed to actually kind of like knock it around a bit to get rid of any air bubbles, okay? So hopefully I do it right. Yeah, if anyone ever thinks about moving to Australia, Sydney is where it's at. I hear it's been raining in Queensland, in Brisbane as well, so forget the rest, come to Sydney. Okay, so tease me go. I'll cook at 30 minutes. I'm at high altitude. Does that make a difference? I hate to see your winters. I know, right? We have massive flooding this summer in Sydney. Well, true, still. Hush. So it's got some bubbles at the top. I'm supposed to kind of like knock it around a bit, right? Doesn't seem to be dissipating at the moment. Sydney overpopulated, I get lost there. That's why you moved back to New Zealand, that lot. Sydney can be a little bit intimidating, I think, for people who don't have family over here. But I've only ever lived in, well, in Australia anyway, I've only ever lived in Sydney, so I don't know about the other towns. We don't need any more in Sydney. Hey, Johan! I can't sleep since 3 hours now. Hey, Johan, you're closer to Georgia. You have to tell us about the political situation in Georgia. What's happening over there? All right. Because Johan was with us for a little bit on Saturday night, but I think you missed out on the whole bombing thing over there that Saturday night. I don't think you were around by that stage. Okay. Let me just... Okay. I don't know how how hard I'm supposed to knot this around, but the air bubbles are actually quite thick, are quite stubborn, because the mixture is quite thick. Okay. There you go. Sydney's not that dense. I'm not from Georgia, what? Well, you're closer to Georgia in the Georgia as in the former USSR. You're closer to Georgia than we here in Australia. Now it's 23 degrees, so cold. I'm gonna make some hot chocolate with vodka. Okay. Ada, thanks for following. That's true. Yeah, Johan, what's the political situation in Georgia? Just because someone's close doesn't mean they know what's happening. We use both. Hey, Kettle, cut up a slice of your cake and post a picture of the sliced piece, all right? There's a lot of bubbles in here still. Let me just read the recipe again, see. Prevent surface dents. Okay, mostly caused by the condensate. Okay, that's not it. Okay, I'm supposed to use a fork. The longer you tap, the more air bubbles you'll be able to burst. It's an art that requires patience. Burst the air bubbles with a toothpick or fork. Okay, so I need a fork. Okay, there you go. I like the patience to do this sort of stuff. Okay. Yeah, for high altitude, you need to increase the cook time. I did not know that. I don't know. Johan, come on. Surely you have European news. Look, if you told me that there was war going on in Ukraine, you hear about the Ukraine now and then, right? But I never heard anything about Georgia. 23 degrees Fahrenheit. The cake is gone. Me and my dad ate it already. Yeah, right. There's a chart somewhere online that tells you what time increase is required over sea level. I don't even know what sea level we're at, actually, in all honesty, here in Sydney. Hamza, thanks for following. Okay, so this is meant to be something that you're meant to do patiently. So I'm trying like dispel the air bubbles. Okay. Vic Spiro, thanks for following. Attack, hey, how you doing? I need those emotes. Who was it who posted a really cute emote the other day? Hey guys, don't forget, like I said, stories on Discord, alright? So I can read them next Saturday night. We do like nothing on Saturday night, alright? We just kind of like, I just read stories and I answer your questions. But you guys should actually hop on the voice channel on my Discord server so we can talk. But for whatever reason, it's my favorite broadcast because I'm not actually, even though I'm not actually cooking. But that's why I actually reduced the video resolution. So if I look a little bit blurry, sorry about that. But like when I do my Saturday night broadcast, I chew up over 10 gigs of data. Can you believe? And I've only got 80 gigs ration for my live streams per month. Okay, this looks pretty good. What country do you live in, Johan? Seems rather important to know the political situation. Johan is in the Netherlands. Can't be asked to keep up with it. Okay, so this looks kind of decent. So I'm actually going to, because this is hot water, you're supposed to actually bring the water to a boil in the in the pressure cooker and then throw this in, but I'm just going to throw it in now, okay? Oops. little bit. I don't even know if I've got the right trivet. Maybe I don't. It should be okay. So close it, and I want time. Wait. Menu. Slow cook high. Okay. High, and I want to change the time.
Reset cooking time.
Okay, it won't let me go beyond 12. Oh wait, that's hours. Okay. It shows that I'm still like, okay.
Reset cooking time. Reset cooking time. Reset cooking time.
Okay, that's minutes, okay. Sorry guys, I'm trying to figure out how to work this. Cancel. Pressure adjust.
Simmer. Keep warm. Slow cook hot. Simmer. Keep warm. Meats. White rice. Slow cook meats.
Okay, I'm gonna do it on the meat setting and reduce the cooking time.
Reset pressure time. Reset pressure time.
And I want the pressure level.
Please set pressure level. Please set pressure level. Please set pressure level.
Okay, so that's on high pressure at 28 minutes.
Meats. Start cooking.
Fingers crossed it works. You could also cover your cheesecake with tin foil. Ah, do you think I should? Hang on. It's too late. Let's put a cheesecake pressure cooker, set the time to cook. Does that pressure cooker talk? Yeah, it does. I know, pretty cool, right? So if you're wondering, this is called the Optimum Induction Pressure Cook Pro, and you can find out more about it at prestigehomeappliances.com.au. So that's going to take half an hour, which gives me enough time to work on my Asian recipe of the day. This is kind of like picking up where I left off with the fish paste the other day. So this is the fish paste I made, and I'm going to stuff some of these veggies with it, and I'm going to fry them up, all right? And this is like one of Noah's favorite meals. Just let me put a couple of the baking stuff away in the meantime. So now I've got like virtually an entire tub of sour cream and virtually an entire pack of Scotch fingers that I don't even eat. Okay, so this is the tofu. I bought this. This was white when I bought it, right? When you deep fry it, which I did, it should look evenly brown, but it's not. It's all speckled because the oil I was using was a bit, like I said, it was on its last legs. Johan will know all about deep frying because apparently in the Netherlands, every household has a deep fryer with 5 liters of oil in it. Apparently, it sounds crazy to me. We Asians don't use deep fryers generally. Okay, I hate to generalize, but I will. But usually when we deep fry, we fry it in a wok, and the reason for it is because woks, because of their shape, you don't need as much oil, right, to be able to deep fry effectively. I just gotta find the right knife for this. Okay, this is a bit large. Okay, let's go with this. So this, when I bought this, was white, and it came in a tray, right? And it had water in it, sort of thing, and it said on the outside, and there are a number of different types. They look virtually identical. This one said firm tofu. Okay, you could buy the medium or regular tofu, which in fact is what I generally prefer. But firm tofu, it's just a matter of degrees as to how dense they are. It's still pretty soft. You can use it straight out of the pack white, right, in your cooking, but I deep fried it just to kind of like give it a tougher exterior. Did you use a deep fry all the time? It is crazy. I don't know how we haven't died out. I know. That's a funny thing as well. You hear about how unhealthy Americans are and all that, right? But you don't really hear that about the Dutch. Yeah? So here you go. That's I've cut it a half, you know, at an angle. So now you've got two halves that are triangular shaped, and what I'm going to do is create a cavity in it. Okay, so what you do, just use a knife and basically cut out a slit and pop it out. Okay, that gives you like a little cavity, and this is where the fish paste is going to go into. You can stuff other kinds of tofu. You can stuff tofu puff, which in fact is actually my preference, but I happen to have this and I want to use it up, right? But tofu puff is puffy and spongy, and the reason why I like tofu puff is that it absorbs all the flavors from the sauce that I'm going to braise the stuffed veggies in afterwards. Okay, so it's just really like flavorsome. But yeah, you can use this kind of tofu and you can stuff them while they're white as well. Okay, I just like to kind of like fry them up first. And again, you can use tofu of different firmness. If it's too soft, then it might fall apart if you're trying to stuff it, especially if you're stuffing it white. That's the only thing you got to consider. But otherwise, it's a personal preference thing, okay? So just cut a little slit. And you can either save this and toss it into, because this is what we call Hakka style yong tofu, okay? Yong tofu means stuffed tofu, okay? So traditionally, this is what we stuff with the fish paste. And if you're Hakka, you probably will have mixed other stuff in here as well. In the fish paste that you probably would have mixed some pork mince in there. I don't eat pork, all right? I'm like one of 6 Chinese people on the planet who don't actually like pork. But you can put chicken mince, you can put dried shrimp in there as well. So anything you kind of like generally. But the difference apart from the filling with Hakka yong tofu is that we also, after we stuff it and then fry it up, we then braise it in a sauce, okay? That's kind of like an oyster-based sauce, so it's kind of like a comfort home-cooked meal sort of stuff, and then you eat it with rice and you drizzle the sauce over your rice. And Noah, my 5-year-old kid, absolutely loves it. Okay, I always thought Scandinavians were super healthy. Yeah, same here. Apparently the Dutch eat deep fried food at least once a week for dinner. Eat fries and stuff once a week. Yeah, I don't. People go crazy about fries. I don't eat fries. You know, I'm very Asian in my palate. I don't eat like schnitzel or, you know, I'd eat a good steak. I'd like, you know, to eat steak if I were eating out, but it's not something I generally think, oh, we're going to have steak tonight at home or something like that. So, okay. And I don't really eat pasta. I eat noodles, so I don't really eat pasta. You hear about all these people, especially all you half-baked Asians out there. You guys seem to do a lot of pasta, right? I call you guys half-baked Asians because like it seems like every Asian millennial I come across nowadays is like, oh, do you cook? Yeah, I cook Western stuff, and invariably it will be like ravioli or lasagna or spaghetti bolognese and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I basically, for the chilies, I just cut a slit all the way down and then just tap out. HT Black, thanks for following. And just tap out the seeds, okay? So the seeds are where a lot of the heat come from. And back in the day in Malaysia, we would actually save the seeds and toss it in our garden, and then we'll get chili plants out of it. In fact, my mom sometimes does it as well, my stepmom, because she's got a garden, I don't. So I've got some chilies, I've got some tofu. Let me just put it in something. Oh. Again, I've just moved things around, so. All my glass bowls are now in here. And if you've got capsicum, if you don't like chili and you like, you know, the flavor of chili, you can use capsicum or large bell peppers, as you guys call it in America, and stuff those instead, right? You just gotta basically cut them out, because obviously bell peppers are larger. You just have to cut them in such a way that, you know, you get a bit of a curvature, right? Where you segment them so that they are curved in a way so that you can have like something for the fish paste to kind of like basically hug. Okay, so this is eggplant, okay, and again I'm just gonna cut it into slices with slits down the middle. Okay, they're about 1 centimeter on either side with a slit down the middle. Okay, so just be a little bit careful. If you cut it too far down, you might break it in half. Remy, foreign advice, Georgia. He's white, not Chinese. I cook a lot less Chinese food than I would like, only because my husband likely wouldn't survive. Are you Chinese? Tease me, girl. That's the problem, isn't it? If it were healthier. Chinese food is not bad if you eat the way. Hey, come on, look! I've been eating Chinese food, Asian food, my whole life. You know, I've never been sick. The only time, you know, apart from the occasional sniffle and like cough and all that sort of stuff, I've never been sick. I don't have. When I get tested for high blood pressure, you know, the doctor says your blood pressure is always perfect. So I am as healthy as can be, and some of you even know how old I am. I'm older than some of your mothers, guys. So there you go. Okay. So. Remy, I'm gonna have to read up on that foreign advice on Georgia. You're right. I did not know that. But you are right that cheesecake recipe website is actually run by a couple of Chinese people. I only noticed that. I don't like read the about me profiles of these blogs or whatever. But you are right. They're actually Chinese. Okay, so there you go. Yunusala, thanks for following. Salila. Okay, so there you go. Slit out here. I don't know if I've got enough fish paste here to use up all this. That's why I'm gonna leave the rest of this. And now you want to stuff this, okay, which is super easy. You want a see, all the utensils actually belong to my sister, and because I'm so Chinese, I think I didn't unpack the butter knives, because I figure, like, you know, I don't really need knives, and now I really regret it because I've only got the one butter knife, so I'm going to use a spoon, but a butter knife would actually work better for this. Okay, so what you want to do is just open this up, grab a spoonful of this, and just stuff it. Okay, you'll see a lot of the time, if you look this up online or in cookbooks, it will talk about drenching your vegetables with flour, or kind of like smoothing this over with like a flour plus water mixture. I never bother doing that. Okay, or sometimes they also have some salted water to smooth this over. I never bother with that, but that's just me. You can if you want. I just like to keep things as simple as possible without compromising on the flavor best I can. I swear I saw you doing this in a vodcast, and have you made this? I have made this before. That's the other thing about like my live streams, because I live stream like 10-12 hours a week, right? And a lot of the stuff that I cook will be stuff that I want to actually eat. So, so yeah. This isn't a vodcast. This is actually live. All right. and I have done this before in the podcast. But this is kind of like one of the things I eat like fairly regularly, okay? This along with like say things like chicken curry, noodles, like prawn noodle soup or something like that. So you will see a lot of repeats of that, all right? The rest of the time I try and diversify a little bit, doing things that people haven't seen, but you know, if you're cooking live on air for 12 hours a week and you're just feeding you and your 5-year-old little kid, you want to cook things that you actually want to eat afterwards, you know? Okay. It's brinjal, eggplant, yeah. Made them in the past stream. Okay, so you just stuff it like so. Again, like I say, you know, like I'm pretty sure back in the day my parents used to actually have some like salted water on the side to just kind of like smooth this over with. But like I said, once I started running my restaurant, I tried to simplify everything. So if you don't know who I am, I used to own a Malaysian restaurant here in Sydney, Australia, which I gave up about nearly 5 years ago now to look after Noah, my Down syndrome kid. He spent the first, probably more than 5 years ago now, he spent the first 7 months of his hospital in the ICU. So he had it pretty tough. So when he came out, a number of things happened at the same time that made me decide, oh, it's easier just to quit and essentially do food related stuff, but not actually physically producing food. I do still produce food every Thursday. If I'm a bit silent on Discord or a bit silent elsewhere online, it's because Thursday is the one day of the week left where I actually sell food, right, at a market, essentially, outdoor market. But yeah, it's good to kind of like keep everything together. I used to do like as many as like 5 markets a week on top of my restaurant. Okay, so stuffing this. And in all honesty, right, when I say, like, I usually deep fry this, but you can actually poach it or steam it, okay? To me, deep frying is faster. But that's just me. Bring this back up again. Any of you guys live stream, let me know. I'd love to check out your streams and drop in and say hello sometime. Okay. So eggplant, of all the stuffed veggies, eggplant is my favorite. Eggplant and chilies. And if you're Asian, you talk about what chilies, because Americans always ask what kind of peppers you use, because the Americans are used to like all your fancy Mexican peppers. If you're Chinese or Southeast Asian, you really only knew about 2 types when you were growing up, which is what we call big chilies and small chilies, okay? So of course, big chilies, they're green and they're red, but we use them interchangeably. Medihos, thanks for following. Unless you're from Sichuan or something like that, where they're a lot more, they're incredibly sophisticated with their chili varieties. But if you're from my part of the world, it's just either big chilies or small chilies. And small chilies essentially is what's known as bird's eye chilies, right? Okay. And they can be fresh or they can be dried. So just stuff this. Here you go. Okay, so let's get on to the tofu. Okay, it's a little bit more slippery, okay? And like I said, traditionally, the suggestion would be that you drench it with some flour before you spread, and the flour is meant to help it stick together. But look, generally, I haven't found it to be a problem. But sometimes you may find when you're frying this, okay, that the filling does slip out, okay? So that is something you gotta keep in mind. And I mentioned this is Hakka style stuffed veggie. Hakka is basically a Chinese dialect group. I am a Hakka. And if you know anything about Chinese as well, basically we are divided among different dialect groups. Okay, so the language is the written language is the same, but the spoken language is a little bit different depending on which dialect. So the best known dialects, I guess, are the Cantonese, and Mandarin is like the official, like standardized Chinese, right? But you'll find that the Hakka, supposedly the Hakkas and the Japanese, the modern Japanese, share the same gene pool. So there's some similarity between Hakka and Japanese, okay? Not enough for it to be noticeable to me. I mean, I notice a few words here and there, like when you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's the same in Japanese as in Hakka, so that's quite interesting in itself. But the Hakkas are known to be kind of like fairly, like, they're famous for being fairly nomadic, okay? They are literally the nomads of China. But they're generally known to be quite rural as well. Okay, so they do a lot of farming and that sort of stuff. And historically, the Hakkas are known to be like, they go into public service as in the military, so they're fairly academically inclined sort of thing. My grandfather in China apparently was a university professor. And then the Cultural Revolution came along, and essentially that was when the communist government tried to undermine academics sort of thing, so they went through a tough time. Like Mandarin Cantonese, yeah. My parents and extended family speak a dialect close to Cantonese. I wonder what that is. My dad knew like pretty much every single Chinese dialect, even the really obscure one I'd never heard of. Me, I just know the basic ones. I know like Cantonese, Hakka, and I know a little bit of Mandarin, but that's about it. You know, but my dad could speak any Chinese dialect you mentioned, he could speak it. But yeah, so a lot of Hakkas are either in politics, like Singapore's, the founder of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, he was Hakka. The guy who founded Kuala Lumpur, Yap Aloy, he was Hakka. I don't know about Deng Xiaoping. Sun Yat-sen, Dr. Sun Yat-sen, who founded Taiwan, he was Hakka. The actor Chow Yun-fat is Hakka. So they're either in politics or they're in the arts, okay? Generally. So there are certain stereotypes that come with different Chinese dialect groups, right? The Hokkien are known to be great business people. We dropped off. Thanks for following. The Hokkiens are known to be great business people. The Cantonese are known for their cuisine, right? And the Hakkas are known to be basically politicians and troublemakers as well. The Taiping Rebellion in China, that was instigated by the Hakkas. And apparently the Communist Revolution, even though Mao Zedong wasn't Hakka, he was enabled by the Hakka in the countryside. They supported him and they rallied around him and basically, yeah, won over China for the communists. Sadly, all the Chinese I can speak is solely related to food. Sun Yat-sen, no, that's a respectful name. Yeah, I know, right? Sun Yat-sen. Fitness food, oh, thanks for hosting. Half my screen is cut off, so, but thanks for hosting Fitness Food. And everyone, I'm sure everyone knows Fitness Food by now, but Fitness Food is, the person behind Fitness Food is Trisha, and she is a genius. I've interviewed her. I haven't written up about her yet, because, yeah, I'm running out of excuses about why I haven't started writing for Huffington Post yet. I got invited to write for the Huffington Post. Basically have a blogging platform there, and I haven't written a damn word there yet, except for my bio. But I interviewed Trisha, and she is very, very clever. Okay, so Fitness Food is what's known as the healthiest place on Twitch, and Trisha does a whole bunch of healthy recipes, okay, because even gamers, especially gamers, need to eat healthy. Night owls, now we riot. Huffington Post tries to mesh with Trisha, we mess. Yeah, you do that. Yeah. See what I mean? Yeah, Trisha, we should get together because we've got an ongoing conversation about kitchen appliances. Actually, I've been meaning to get in touch with you, but I'm struggling with my writing at the moment. I'm so behind with my blog because I was sick for a couple of weeks, even though I was still live streaming my behind the scenes. I was just kind of like crashing out, and now I'm just kind of catching up with my work a little bit, but I'm going to get onto the Huffington Post blog. I would eat healthy of such a sweet tooth. The first take we already did it as a preemptive strike. We watched teacher doing her work. Oh, did you work out this morning? But yeah, you wouldn't guess it, but there's actually a lot of planning and thought put into a lot of these Twitch channels. Me, in all honesty, I do it on the fly, okay? So whatever you think of me, a lot of the things that I do will be like 5 minutes before I go live on air, or what do I have that I can cook today, and that sort of stuff. So in all honesty, I don't do the kind of like planning and that sort of stuff that Trisha and some of the other people, Lara, who's the musician, the classical musician. Any of you guys know Lara? She's also from Sydney. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. But yeah, Trisha, like just based on the answers in my interview, she's put a lot of thought into her strategy with Twitch and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, make sure you guys follow Trisha. She's a great person inside and out. Hey, you and my husband both, which explains why I've made so many darn cheesecakes in the last week. But, okay, so I'm just finishing up the rest of the fish paste. Okay, just cutting a slit here. And in all honesty, you know, it's up to you if you want to actually cut out some of the tofu in the middle to create a cavity. If you don't, you just have like either fatter stuffed tofus, or you'll have less room for the fish paste to go into. Tulip, thanks for following. What are you making now? I am actually just, while I'm waiting for the cheesecake, right, I am actually stuffing my some veggies that I'm going to fry up and cook Hakka style, okay? So this is fish paste. This is fish paste made with basa fillets that's just blended in the food processor. Don't blend it for too long, guys, because it's going to actually, the texture will turn out different if you blend, especially when you're blending it on high speed. The blades in your food processor will heat up, all right, and that can cause your you can end up pseudo cooking the fish fillets. You don't want to do that because you want to be able to keep this starchy. Okay, so it's got, usually I use tapioca starch. In the past when I've made this, I've always used tapioca starch, but I came across potato starch recently. I thought I might give it a whirl, right? So this time, for the first time, I'm using potato starch in this batch here. So now that I've got all the veggies stuffed, so it's a mixture of eggplant, tofu, which isn't a veggie, I know, and chilies. I'm gonna now heat up some oil and fry this up. So give me a second while I clear out some things, and I shall be back. I should probably, you know what? No, I'm not gonna risk it. I'm gonna fry it up again in my dinky little stove. I don't like using this because it takes forever to heat up. But I don't want to bring any more electrical because I do have an electric like stove I can use, electric pot I can use, but I worry about the static, too much electrical stuff around here. Okay, so I've got the oil in here. And you always cook delicious. You don't know that, Trisha. Yeah, I should bring some food over to you one day so you can try it out. We should cook together or something like that. Confess Miss Smooth Stream. Smoothie. What are you talking about? Sounds good. Seems I missed the beginning. Speaking of Bassa, you wouldn't happen to know a replacement for eel other than Bassa. Jeepers, Aria, thanks for following. That would be cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah, definitely. We'll have to get together. Let's organize something. I don't know what your schedule is like. I'm filming again mid-August, but I should have some time after this week. This week I'm going to be playing catch up. I'm going to write about 10 blog posts or something like that. But yeah, after this week, and a little bit after mid-August, because I've got a couple of shoots scheduled for mid-August for this marketing campaign that I'm the face of. But yeah, let's talk and let's work out some ways we can work together. Oh shoot! What I just do there? Just let me know when things are quieter for you. Okay, cool, radio. You seem like you're pretty full on busy. I don't know how you find the time to do what you do and live stream for that long as well. You're so good. I struggle with writing. I miss Trisha making smoothie drinks after a workout. Ah, right. Okay, gotcha. You know, I struggle. I'm one of those people, like, I like the idea of having written something, but the process of writing is a freaking pain for me. I really admire how, you know, because sometimes I get interviewed about food, right? When like someone is writing something about, because Johan, you got lucky that wasn't fully heated up yet. I know, right? I know. I was like, what the hell? I forgot that I had oil in it, and I wanted to touch and see how hot the surface temperature was, and then it's like, oops. Yeah. But yeah, as far as writing, because like usually there are a lot of Asian cooks, but I'm so niche that if you're writing an article, Dev, thanks for following. If you're writing an article on something that's very niche, like sambal or, you know, anything Malaysian or whatever, invariably I get interviewed for it, right? And the worst part of it is that they can't sometimes quote me in the interviews. It seems fundamentally unfair. If you're writing for the Sydney Morning Herald and you've been tasked to write an article on sambal or whatever, or laksa, that sort of stuff, if your average, like, white, I'm very politically incorrect, guys. If you're like the average white, you know, generic food writer, you might not know as much about that as someone like me. So I get the occasional phone call from journalists asking about this and that, but they're not allowed to quote that it actually, you know, the source was me, right? But yeah, I admire how they can just interview you and then the next day it appears in the papers. I couldn't do that. I have to mull over it for like days and weeks and strategize how, you know, how I'm gonna like title it and all that. It's really, really a really painful process for me. Okay, Jackie knows how to check for temperatures. I know. It's making me thirsty thinking about it. Racist. Look, I'm like I said, I'm an equal opportunity offender, you know. I make jokes about Asians that people take offense to. I make jokes about everyone and everything. It is hard when you actually care about your content. I know, right? Yeah. And the thing is, like, once I publish something, this is like a personal admission, but once I publish something, the next day I'll read it 20 times and I'll check the stats about how many people have visited it. And then 2 weeks later, and I'll do it religiously for about 3 days, I'll read it and then I might just fine tune it and edit the word here and there sort of thing. And then 2 weeks later, I will never read it again. And then 5 years later, I'll go back and read it and think, oh my God, I can't believe I wrote that sort of thing. And sometimes I'll be a little bit embarrassed about it sort of thing. So writing is a tough gig, guys. I do too. Chess mat before you. What do you do? Like your style? Oh, thanks. You mean read your own writing 20 times? I know, it's such a vanity thing. Like I said, you know, you take it very personally. But yeah, And the thing is, like when you're writing, your memory plays tricks on you. Because a couple of times I've written about, oh, there was one time, right? It's quite sad. I wrote about this woman who passed away suddenly, and I wrote this obituary. I know it sounds completely random, but I write all kinds of stuff. I wrote this obituary about her on my blog, right? And people were just saying, and I basically said, look, I'd known this woman online for so long, right? And then I always meant to catch up with her, and she's such a kind-hearted soul and whatever. And I really feel bad that I never got to catch up with her. And people were saying, oh, well, that was so beautifully written. And the worst part of it was that a couple of people came back to me, actually, you did meet her, you know, that she was so-and-so. And that's the worst part about it as well. First of all, your memory plays tricks with you, because I seriously thought I never got to meet her. And second of all, it's really awkward because, like, my brand is Jackie M. My name is Jackie M. Everybody who knows of me knows me as Jackie M. So when I used to sell food, people come, hey, Jackie, sort of thing. I'll be like, did you ever introduce yourself to me? It'll be really awkward for me to ask, like, what's your name again? And she was one of those people. She came and talked to me a number of times, and I wasn't really sure who she was in the greater scheme of things. And when, you know, so it was, yeah, really embarrassing. What writer doesn't do that? You think? Oh, that's a little bit comforting. But yeah, I mean, I've written things that are, that, like, there was something I wrote about, don't sweat the small stuff, just keep up the good work. Oh, thank you, that's very cool. Yeah, some things I write about, I read back later on, I'll be thinking, oh gee, that sounded so disjointed, I don't know what the hell I was thinking when I wrote that, you know. Because I do write everywhere. I've got a number of blogs, but like I said, Huffington Post is completely new to me, so I haven't written, and I'm getting a little bit of a cold feet because the stakes are a little bit higher with Huffington Post. But what I was thinking I would write that hopefully will appeal to other people would be to write about, like, essentially more stuff related to, you know, I guess to some extent people in my shoes sort of thing, people trying to succeed online or trying to succeed on their own as a sole parent, trying to succeed running a real world business or whatever. So there are a number of people I have actually either interviewed or plan to interview who I want to feature just to give other people who might be contemplating, like, you know, going into, you know, getting a sea change, like, you know, to read about what other people do. Like, there's this woman who apparently, I forget what it is that she produced, but she's something creative anyway, like whether she makes like handbags or whatever, but she has successfully run a couple of Kickstarter campaigns, okay? So apparently she's got like some ideas on how to be successful in using Kickstarter to fund your creative ventures, which I think is really interesting, all right? So instead of spending like thousands of dollars of your own money to design and produce something that nobody ends up buying, you use Kickstarter as kind of like a way to test the waters. So those are the kind of stuff that I'm interested in. I just don't know if it's going to end up being too dry, you know, to read about. So it sounds like my cheesecake is ready, fingers crossed. But that's pretty unfortunate. Don't sweat the small stuff. Pressure cooker is spewing. I know. It's nearly there. This thing is, let's test this. It doesn't feel to me like it's hot enough yet. Okay, no, it's not. This, by the way, this is a stoneware I bought from Aldi a couple of days ago. So I do, in fact, actually still buy stuff, in spite of the fact that my place is completely populated by all kinds of kitchen appliances. I do, in fact, still get tempted to buy stuff when I go shopping. So this was actually something I bought on Aldi. It was listed at Australian $24.90 or something like that. And I go out of Aldi and there's a kitchenware shop just like round the corner from it. And they have something that looks virtually identical to this, also stoneware. And it was like $75, right? And that kind of made me feel like going back to Aldi to get a couple more, but okay, let's turn this off, open it up, let's see what happened with the cheesecake. Oh, I don't know if it's meant to look like this, tease me girl. If you ever want to interview some broke gamer finishing, I might just, you know. I think it's good to have variety, that's the thing as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be people who have like, you know, who now make $500,000. It just kind of like from a strategy perspective, it might give people an idea as to what it takes to succeed or not succeed online, you know. Bit of a kitchen hoarder, I know, big time. Okay, look, it looks to me like it looks very soft and fluffy. Okay, so tease me, girl, tell me if it's tell me if this is gonna work. Okay, and it looks a little bit wet as well. Okay, let me just move this back a little bit. Okay. It tastes nice though. But yeah, I mean, I expect it to be a little bit wobbly, but I can just, I don't know, it's water, condensation around the sides. It's just a tiny bit of water around the sides, so I don't know if that's going to cause problems when I pull this out later on. But in the meantime, this is still heating up. And like I said, Johan is the deep fry expert. Devlog looks good, you think? Yeah, at least it's not, the surface is a little bit uneven, but that's to be expected when you've got it closed off like that, right? But let's see. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with the, looks like a cheesecake to me, you think? Tease me, girl. Yes, it needs to cook and set in the fridge overnight. Okay, just cool and yeah, gently. Your condensation, just soak it up with a paper napkin. Okay, let me get some. Do I have any left? I'm just using a tissue. It's not even that obvious. You make cheesecake. I know. This is my first ever making a New York cheesecake. All right. By the way, what's the difference between a New York cheesecake and a regular cheesecake? I'm not sure I even know. But this is pretty easy. I've got enough to, well, except for the cream cheese, I've got enough to make a couple more, really. If I can, if I can pop it out eventually. Okay, so we're gonna deep fry this. Okay, let me just move my computer a little bit askew. Okay. Move this forward a little bit. Okay. I can just hear the sizzle a tiny bit, but it's still not quite hot enough. But if you've got a real fryer, you want to heat this up to about 180 degrees Celsius, which would work out to be, I guess, about 350, give or take, Fahrenheit. Okay, you need to check, do the conversion. Deep fry the cheesecake, not yet. New York cheesecakes are baked, but then aren't other cheesecakes. No, I think baked cheesecake is quite different. I don't think New York cheesecake is meant to be baked. It's meant to be a cold cheesecake, I think. Don't quote me on that. And you know, the eggplant, I'm going to air fry the eggplant. Okay. Okay, so this is my air fryer basket. It's just going in there. And if you're interested in the air fryer, again, also by Prestige Home Appliances. But I'm gonna basically soak up some oil because the eggplant does need a bit of oil to fry up properly, decently. But in all honesty, the air fryer is worth the purchase price alone if you're ever going to fry eggplant, right? Because eggplant is like a sponge. It soaks up oil like a sponge. And usually before I had an air fryer, if I were frying the eggplant in this, I would then actually need to stick it through a sieve and let the oil gather underneath, okay? Because it really, really just soaks up all the oil and becomes really, really tough to eat. And in fact, my brother who makes this same dish as well, he actually uses paper towel to gently pat and soak up the oil after he deep fries this. So he really needs an air fryer. Okay, so I'm just gonna air fry this for about 15 minutes to start with. Let's see how we go with 15 minutes. At 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to throw the rest of this in. And when you throw it in, you fry it up with the fish facing downwards, okay? Just to speed it up a little bit. You have a really cool kitchen. Thanks. And you know what? It's not actually a kitchen, it's my living room. That's the sacrifice you make when you're live streaming and you live in a place like I do. I've got an unrenovated kitchen. Whoops. Maybe one day I'll find a kitchen fitter to sponsor my broadcast, and they can fit out my kitchen. But my kitchen is in what's called its original condition, so it's small and it's really, really cramped, right? So this is actually my living room. Okay, so the oil isn't quite as hot as I'd like it to be, and Johan's going to tell me I'm doing this wrong, because this is going to mean my food's going to be really oily. But let's see how we go. And let me just throw some of these things out. So don't forget, guys, 80 degrees kitchen, 80%. Yeah, kitchen, big time, big time. So I've got no television in this place, no lounge sets. So when people come in, they walk in, they expect to see like sofas and all that. There's none of that in my place, all right? And I don't even have like, we must hang sometime. Whereabouts are you? When people walk into my place, they expect to crash on the couch. There's no couch here. And they look for the TV, there's no TV. There's just this table here. And I've got a couple of chairs you can sit around, but this is basically a dining table, right? And then next to me, I've got 3 computers, right? Thanks to Lenovo. And then I've got, to be fair, I've got this little enclave up the back here. And that's where Noah, my Down syndrome toddler, that's where he watches his YouTube videos off another laptop, also from Lenovo. I'm in Texas. So apparently New York cheesecakes are traditionally made by heating them really high up, then bringing it right down for the rest of the baking time. Really? I did not know that. Okay, so this is dyed. I need to change the gas out. Okay, in this goes. I did not know that at all. That's very cool, actually. So, because I've always thought that New York cheesecake tastes like non-baked cheesecake, because usually baked cheesecake in Australia anyway, they're very dense, and also they tend to be very plain tasting. This is from my memory from working as a waitress back in my university days, so we're talking like 25 years ago now, 30 years ago. That's how old I am. Tease me, girl. Interesting. I know, right? Who knew that? I did not know that. Okay, so guys, if you were deep frying, do as I say, not as I do, okay? This is, the oil isn't quite hot enough here. You want it to about 180 degrees. Whereabouts in Texas are you? Chestnut. Johan, never had cheesecake. Really? You never had cheesecake? What do you eat for, what sort of cakes do you have in the Netherlands? I kind of thought cheesecakes were universally Western, you know. I personally like a lemon cheesecake. Corpus Christi, never been there. The only place in Texas I've been to is San Antonio. Am I right? Yeah, San Antonio is the only place I've been to. I've been at Dallas Airport, but I haven't actually checked it out. Cheesecake, my favorite food. No, come on, you're a pavlova person, admit it. That's what you eat in New Zealand, right? Actually, I like pavlova a lot, in all honesty. I could probably eat more pavlova than cheesecake. The traditional cheesecake I make is super lemony. Ah, right. 1 hour south of San Antonio. Ah, okay. Right, so it'll be warmer there. Passion fruit cheesecake. I like is key lime. Is it key lime cheesecake? Is that a cheesecake? Or I do like the idea of like a sourness to your cheesecake because it helps cut through the rich, cheesy sweetness, you know. I just gotta find another. Okay, there we go. I love puffs, chocolate pavlova. Chocolate pavlova? I never had chocolate pavlova. I've always had it with fruit. You have the only beach left that you can still drive on here in the States. Oh, really? I like Texas, despite the fact I've only been to San Antonio. I have a feeling I would like other parts of Texas more than San Antonio. I can't even remember why we were there, but this is like maybe about 5 years ago. A bit longer than that, no, about 6, 7 years ago now. But Texas to me really captures my vibe actually. Chocolate meringue base, whipped cream topped with raspberries, and the juice is made from macerated raspberries. Wow, I never associated pavlova with chocolate ever. How about you, Devlop? Because pavlova is meant to have originated from New Zealand, which is Devlop's home country. That defeat the point of fruitiness. Kiwi fruit. Push it. Thanks for following. I was the face of a marketing campaign to promote Malaysia a couple of years ago. And the theme of the cooking demonstrations I did for the media was Malaysian Christmas in Australia, something like that anyway. So I basically had to come up with recipes you would traditionally eat for Christmas in Australia, like turkey and pavlova. I actually did pavlova, that sort of stuff, but with a Malaysian twist, right? So I actually did a pavlova with durian. So if you know what durian is, it's this really pungent, what we call the king of fruits in Malaysia, but it's got a very strong, overpowering, pungent flavor. But I did it live, yeah. I did it in Sydney and Melbourne, so that was quite fun. But yeah, I can't remember what else I did, but I had to be really kind of like, it's funny because I actually, in all honesty, personally, I like to keep, I'm not huge into these crazy fusion stuff, right? But because of the marketing campaign, I did have to come up with some really unusual ideas, sort of stuff. But yeah, I had to do, what did I do with the turkey? I don't even remember now. It feels like such a long time ago. The torn undies, durian pavlova, yeah, I know, right? Torn undies, what torn undies? Stroopwafel. I never heard of that. I mean, my mate is from Chile. For his birthday, we had calzones rotos. What is that? Jackfruit, lovely jackfruit. Yeah, jackfruit. I think I had some jackfruit in there too, actually. I mean, pavlova with tropical fruit, I can see, but like when you're talking about like when you're talking about stuffed turkey, stuff with like, I don't know, curry mixture and that sort of stuff. In all honesty, I prefer my turkey to be very, very Western, you know. Still, it got a lot of attention from Australian media just because it's different, you know. I guess you always need like, yeah, that kind of like clever little twist to get people's attention. One of these days I'm going to grab some durian from Footscray. Have you ever had it? Sounds delicious. But the combination works. Lots and lots of raspberries. I can see raspberries and chocolate in. To be honest, I can see why it would work. Let me just throw some of these in. I can finish them off in the air fryer later on. Golden German turkey. Gushstrup golden syrup. Gushstrup golden syrup. Sound of something being fried is so nice. Unless you've got like your super duper Lenovo laptops all nearby and you're thinking, oh, I don't want to get some oil on my ThinkPad, you know. But yeah, in case you guys are wondering, I live stream using a Lenovo IdeaPad Y700, which is what most of the, I think most Lenovo gamers use that as well. So just FYI, in case you're looking to, if you're in the market for a laptop. It's raining, right? You know, it's actually stopped raining. Oh no, actually it is still drizzling. The turkey stalls popped up Melbourne University's weekly market. You have a weekly market at Melbourne University? That's crazy. How do they serve the turkey though? Really want to get some of their turkey sausages. Class after the market and take it home. So I can't take it home. Get a takeaway container with you. And just keep it in your lecture. So do they only do turkey sausages or do they do like roast turkey as well? I've never had turkey sausages. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off. If you're actually cooking it again, braising it, you don't have to worry too much about whether it's done, okay? Because when we cook it again and braise it, it's gonna cook all the way through. But generally, to check for doneness, you will notice if you had enough oil, it would actually start to float up, and the bubbling will actually also start to dissipate as some of the moisture is, most of the moisture is removed from this, okay? But like I said, because I'm frying it again, I'm not gonna even worry too much about that. And if you're not into deep frying, you can pan fry this with less oil, it just takes longer. Or you can steam it as well, right? Or you can poach it even if you want, all right? To me, deep frying is just fastest. My mom actually pan fries them, my stepmom. Every time I say my mom, I mean my stepmom, in case there's any, not that it matters anyway, but yeah. my real mom passed away when I was 6 years old, so I was raised by my stepmom. So I'm like one of the only people in the family who actually interchangeably call her my mom. A lot of my older siblings always call her stepmom. For whatever reason, I was really attached to her, so yeah, just figure this out of the way. Want to do is actually make an oyster-based sauce for it. Look at this! Isn't this pretty? Can you see this? It's actually set all the way through, but like once it's been refrigerated for a few hours, it'll be perfect. I think it's not like it's not threatening to kind of like fall apart or anything like that. So far that I can see. Personally, like the Tibetan food stall. Wish I knew how to make momos. Momos is pretty easy. We have something very similar. In case you guys are wondering what momos are, they're like these Tibetan like meat dumplings. I should actually make it one day. Yeah, momos actually quite easy. Yeah. So they're basically like a wheat exterior. They're like wheat buns, right? With a meat filling. So this has been air fried 15 minutes. Okay, let me just check and see how it's doing. I just want to flip it over the other side just to get some browning happening on both sides of these eggplant pieces. I'll just do it for another 5 minutes. Flip it over. Okay, so you can see it, even visually you can tell it's less oily than if it's been deep fried all the way through, right? Okay, I need some garlic and I need oyster sauce. This is the oyster sauce I'm using. The only reason I'm using this is because it was on sale. So it actually says extra oyster sauce, in case you're wondering. Like, there are different grades of oyster sauce, okay? And also a lot of these Asian products, depending on where they're made and also depending on the brand, they're like variations to their flavor, okay? This one I've been pretty happy with. It says extra oyster sauce. It means it's got extra oysters used to make it, all right? But having said that, in all honesty, oyster sauce really contains very minimal amounts of oyster, okay? And you can get vegetarian oyster sauce as well if you're so inclined. But yeah, so I bought one that was from Thailand. This one is from Hong Kong. Usually when you're buying the base Asian ingredients like soy sauce, oyster sauce and all that, Hong Kong is a safe bet in terms of like the kind of brands you want to pick up from your Asian grocery store. I've bought Thai oyster sauce. Thailand is another country I really like in terms of like the kind of like ingredients they produce, right? Of course, Malaysia as well. I noticed the Thai oyster sauce is significantly sweeter, right? So just something to keep in mind when you're cooking, just to kind of like balance out the flavors and all that as well, all right? So I've got a little bit of oil left in here. I'm going to leave that in. I want some garlic, but I think I'm going to cheat and use dried garlic instead of fresh because I don't want to create too much washing up here. Okay. So I've got some. This is dried garlic. You can pick this up at Asian grocery stores. I prefer dried garlic as opposed to the minced garlic you get in jars at your supermarket, because I find that when they're wet like that, the preservative, the vinegar or whatever it is they use in the jar tend to overpower any kind of garlic flavor you can get out of them, all right? So the dried garlic has more of a garlicky flavor, but nonetheless, fresh garlic is still the best, okay? If ever you're in a position to choose what to use. And the other things I'm going to put in are some chicken powder, okay? So there's a chicken powder, and I know some, especially Europeans, are averse to using this. This does contain MSG, but this is kind of like using stock cubes, but in powder form. This, like I said, this does contain MSG. Not all chicken powders do, okay? I have used ones that don't contain MSG, and to me, they don't really cut it, but you maybe will find something more suited, okay? But we Asians don't generally have an aversion to MSG in our cooking. And the other thing I'm going to use is just some tapioca starch, tapioca flour that I'm going to use as a thickener. So what I'm going to do now is just heat up the oil, throw in the garlic, right? And you would usually want to just kind of like sizzle the garlic a little bit. Don't burn it, just be a little bit careful at this point. And toss in your vegetables. Okay, we're waiting for the eggplant, which shouldn't be too far off. And you can put in the oyster sauce. Okay, you're just braising this, so you don't have to worry too much about getting what we call wok hei, which a lot of people starting out on Asian cooking a little bit fixated on, right? Wok hei means the wet breath of the wok, which is that charred flavor that you get with some stir-fried dishes. Not all Asian stir fries or not all Asian Chinese cooking need to have that charred flavor, all right? And this is one of those that doesn't need it. So you've got the oyster sauce, and usually you can use some soy sauce at this point as well. I actually prefer to use fish sauce, but that's just me, okay? Okay, so just monosodium makes things more savory and tasty, right? Then you reckon, what is MSG, monosodium glutamate? Flavor enhancer, but it might be toxic. It's not toxic. Some people have a sensitivity to it, but only a very small percentage of the population, all right? And in fact, some people, they've done blind tests on people who say they have a sensitivity to MSG, and the blind test proved that, like, basically that it was unfounded, all right? Then there are other tests that say otherwise, so who knows? But because we grew up eating it in Southeast Asia, or in Asia in general, I'm just gonna put a pinch of sugar in here. Again, this is an optional thing. Look, if you're Thai, I noticed the Thai generally like more sugar in their cooking. We Malaysians like to kind of balance it out, like just have just a touch of sugar just to cut through the saltiness, give a little bit of body to the food, but we don't generally try and make our food taste sweet outright, okay? So an example of this is pad thai. If you're familiar with the Thai pad thai noodles, they do taste sometimes quite noticeably sweet, okay? Whereas the Malaysian equivalents, what we call char kway teow, you may or may not taste a hint of sweetness to it, but it's not that obvious, okay? So I want to add some water because remember this is a braised dish. And also, by the way, you don't have to cook all this together, okay? If you've got chilies in there, some of the heat from the chilies may leach into the sauce. That's something you got to keep in mind. If I were cooking larger quantities of this, I would actually cook them separately, all right? My son Noah, even though he's only 5, he doesn't really mind the heat, okay? So I'm not too stressed out about it. But if you want to keep the flavors separate, cook them up separately. So you're just simmering this. The flavor is going to be pretty spot on at this point, and you just want to simmer this a little bit, and then you want to thicken up the sauce at the end, okay? So very, very simple. That looks good. Thanks. Hakka cooking tends to be very, like I say, kind of like very home style and kind of like country, what do you call it? You know, comfort food sort of stuff. It's not glamorous looking. It doesn't necessarily look pretty or whatever. But yeah. The other thing about Hakka cooking is that they tend to use a lot of pork and everything, all right? And I don't eat pork, which is why I haven't really embraced the whole Hakka food culture per se. Let's turn this down. Let me just taste test this a little bit. Jackie, I've got to go. Sorry, I hope everything turns out okay. Oh, thanks, Steph. Yeah, I'll catch you again. It needs a little bit more... let me just put a touch more of the chicken powder in here. Okay. Did I even put it in earlier? I don't think I did. It's probably... Enjoy the rest of the... yeah, thanks, Steph. I'll see you again soon. Case I am. Hey, how you doing? This chili with minced... Is this the chili with minced fish? Yes, yes. Chili and tofu and eggplant. I'm going to stop the eggplant now. Okay, I forgot to actually change the time setting in there. Okay, so in goes the eggplant, right? And the Chinese actually like bitter gourd, which, you know, despite being Chinese, it's not something I quite enjoy eating. It's a bit of an acquired taste. But yeah, there's a Chinese vegetable called bitter gourd that is popularly stuffed as well, right? Tends to be an older Chinese people thing, I think. Okay, so just adding this in. Okay, and if you want a little bit more liquid, you can add that as well. Let's just add a little bit more because the eggplant is going to soak up a lot of this. Okay, you can add a little bit more oyster sauce as well. What are gourds? Is it just another word for pumpkin? Similar, yeah. I mean, bitter gourd is, yeah, that kind of vegetable. Gourds they tend to be like, yeah, pumpkinish sort of thing. But bitter gourd is green in color and it's kind of like got a rough exterior. I'm still sick but felt better. Oh, that's good. Is the air fryer actually good? It's great, you know. It's bitter melon's definitely an acquired taste. Do you eat it, Tease Me Girl? And it depends on which part of Asia you come from, but I mean, in my part of Asia, bitter gourd is more like an older generation thing, you know. I don't eat it. But case I am actually eats goose feet, all right? And to me, that's very unusual. In Hong Kong, it's a thing apparently. I eat chicken feet in a yum cha setting where the chicken's feet are actually deep fried until the skin is like loose and crispy, and then it's braised sort of thing, all right? That I eat for whatever reason, but yeah. But it wasn't a quiet taste, and I didn't start eating it until I came to Australia and started frequenting Chinatown here in Australia. Okay, so let's taste test this again. Okay, so the flavor's pretty spot on. It's a little bit spicy actually. I can taste the chili from the green chilies in there. Okay, so now you want to thicken it, and you can use like, you know, if you're really stuck, you can use regular all-purpose flour for thickening. We Asians, or you can use corn flour, cornstarch. I usually use tapioca starch. You can use potato starch as well, all right? Potato starch generally is apparently has more starchiness in it, okay? So it might even do a better job, but I've got like bags and bags of tapioca starch here. I need to use that. I don't mind. It took me till my 20s before I could appreciate it. Chicken feet is great, but not goose. Yeah, look, I think chicken feet is great. What I don't eat is the white chicken feet, what do you call it? I don't know what you call it in Cantonese. They look like they're boiled chicken feet, okay? So they're white in color. I don't eat those. I only eat them like braised and deep fried. Remy, stuffed bitter gourd or fried bitter gourd. See, Remy is more Chinese than me. It really depends on your upbringing, I think, to some extent. Never had goose myself. Apparently, like barbecue goose is a thing in Hong Kong, and I asked KCM like how KCM how it's different to, you know, those barbecue duck that you get in Chinatown, and he thinks that it's probably it's got more fat content in the meat, so it probably tastes like richer. But I've never tasted barbecue goose. You can't get goose in Australia, as far as I know. I have never seen it. Okay, so this is done. So it's just thickened up just by like basically mixing about a teaspoon of tapioca starch with water, and then just tossing it in. It just right away it thickens up your dish. Okay, I think goose and duck taste different too. Chicken feet are awesome. Oh, good. Foie gras. I like foie gras. It's probably wrong to say it. People get really upset about it. I once had mashed liver goose on bread. I don't eat foie gras mash. I like to pan fry it. I had foie gras at Anthony Bourdain's restaurants in New York and also in Washington DC, and oh, it's beautiful. But I've bought foie gras here in Australia, and for a little chunk it costs like $50. I'm not kidding. And then somehow the guy even lost his license to import it, so I couldn't get it again. But it was almost like a luxury thing, you know, like from a little chunk like this, I'll cut off like 2 or 3 slices and pan fry it and then eat it separately. And it was so nice. But I don't eat it as a pate and spread it or something like that. And I don't eat it like unfried. Try those stuffed veggies sometime. Yeah, give it a go. It's not actually that hard, you know. I don't like eating organs. I like eating beef, cow's organs. I know that sounds weird. Again, there's an influence post my migration to Australia, right? Back in Malaysia, I wouldn't eat all those weird stuff. It's just because I worked in a Chinese yum cha restaurant as a trolley girl when I was at high school here in Australia. So, you know, what we call in Cantonese, 推車仔, So I used to push the yum cha trolleys around, and at some point I developed a taste for tripe, right? And then I liked ngao zhap, which is a mixture of all these different beef intestines. And I know it sounds really gross to you guys if you're not into it, but it's delicious. You can pan fry the veggies. Yeah, you can pan fry it, and you can even poach it if you want, right? In fact, in Malaysia, if you go to the night market stalls and you look for the stalls that sell stuffed veggies, usually they would actually be poached instead of fried up. To me, frying was just easier. That's how I used to do it in my restaurant. I didn't serve it Hakka style, so the Hakka style really comes into it in terms of like frying it up again with the sauce, the oyster sauce and all that, right? The Cantonese style or whatever style it is that I served at my restaurant, I would have the stuffed veggies fried up, and then I would basically like reheat them by just dunking them in hot water and then serving them on a bed of jiqiangfan or rice noodles, fresh rice noodles, and then I drizzle a hoisin sauce over it, hoisin base sauce. Hoisin sauce is essentially what we call timjiang, which is a sweet sauce, all right? Hoisin sauce doesn't mean it's got seafood in it. It's just a sweet sauce over it, and then sprinkle some toasted sesame seeds over it, and have some chili on the side as well if you want. So that is what I would serve as a jiqiangfan with a yong tofu. But yeah, so that's the more common way of getting it. But in Malaysia, if you get that, sometimes the yong tofu will have been poached instead of deep fried like I did here. So nasty bits, tripe, chicken feet, stomach, lung. Yeah. You can actually speak Cantonese. I can speak a lot of languages. Not very well, but I'd love to go to Yum Cha again. Hi Links, where are you again? I get to go when I'm in Sydney. I know. See, the thing about Yum Cha is that like the place I go to here in Sydney is called Marigold Restaurant, and to me, like I go there because first of all the food is, you know, overall is very, very good quality, but also because they have the ngao zhap and all those more exotic stuff, the beef intestine stuff, you know, which I like. If you go out into the suburbs in Sydney and look for Yum Cha, like if you go to an RSL club or you know, kind of like one of those shopping center Yum Cha places, they don't have the exotic stuff. They have the more very generic stuff, you know, to cater to their demographic, which is mostly white, I guess. Personally, I prefer the 8. Is that right? All right. Yeah, look, I've been to the 8 for Yum Cha maybe one time, and yeah, I mean, look, I still prefer Marigold, probably because, I mean, it's the service as well. People always complain about Chinese restaurant service, right? And a lot of it is kind of true to the insofar as they're nice if they know you by face, all right? And they know me by face at Marigold. The owners know me, all right? They even know what I want. Even when I arrive, they bring out the, you know, because usually Yum Cha, when you're eating it, like you have to wait for the trolley to come around and you hail it down. Sometimes I'll sit down and they will have the ngao zhap, you know, the beef intestine stuff at my table ready for me, you know? So that's pretty cool. So a lot of it's to do with the service. When you walk into a Chinese restaurant blind, they're not generally inclined to be nice to you. Like I said, you have to kind of like build it up to a point where you have that personal rapport with them. It's kind of sad, but that's how a lot of the Chinese restaurant mentality works, you know. Whereas in Western restaurants, you can expect some level of like, you know, equitable treatment right off the bat, I think anyway. You must go all the time. This one's Sunshine, one by High Point, otherwise not that. So you live up in Queensland. Tripe lung intestines are okay with me, not chicken's feet. I don't eat lung. I find the beef lung a little bit weird. I eat the tripe, the intestines, and a few other things as well. But I like how they braise it. It's got a nice that cinnamony, star anise thing. Also, you know, Marigold, the reason they know me, first of all, yeah, I've been there for decades, and second of all, like they know me from the media because they've seen me like featured like in newspapers and whatever sort of thing. So yeah. But Sunshine's a suburb. No, Melbourne. Okay. When you say High Point, I was thinking Gold Coast because I think there's a High Point in Gold Coast, in the Gold Coast. I think it's just about sucking off the sauce and nibbling the skin. Yeah, it is. Because all it is really the chicken's feet, if you get past the fact that you're eating feet, right, is that it's just like basically crispy fried skin, really, isn't it? So it could be anything. It's quite funny because one of my Hong Kong friends moved in with this Australian girl one time, and she decided to make her own chicken's feet, right? The yum cha style chicken's feet. And her Australian friend comes home and checks out what's simmering in the kitchen, and she opens up the big saucepan and she sees a whole saucepan. She said they look like baby's feet. So it's quite horrifying to them. Pig lung, almond pig lung. Oh, jeepers, that is very exotic. I don't know that. No. Pig lung soup. I hated the taste so much. Oh, I can't even imagine eating pig in any kind of like capacity, you know. Casey Yam has the most exotic stuff that he posts on my Discord server. Is like pomelo skin. Can you imagine like pomelo is kind of like a Chinese grapefruit. Can you imagine pomelo skin being cooked up as a dish? That's so strange. I never even heard of it. But yeah, so there you go, guys. Stuffed veggies, right? So this, if you're not eating it right away, this keeps really well in your fridge. You can box it up into takeaway containers and zap it as you need, you know. But yeah, I think it's pretty easy to make, pretty cheap, and it's a good way to stretch fish as well. Keeping the peas, thanks for following. That's the one thing about Asian cooking as well, is that we know how to stretch our prime ingredients, right? So part of the reason why we turn the fish into a paste is that you get more fish out of it, okay? Because Westerners generally, when you think of fish, you grill a fish, and it's like, I remember when I was a kid in Malaysia, really like, I mean, we were living like in virtual like poverty conditions, and like my older brothers and sisters had moved overseas to study in Australia, and then sometimes they would come back for a visit, and one of them came back with an Australian visitor, okay, and I would have been like this old, sitting around the dinner table, and my parents brought out a steamed fish, all right, and the way we Asians eat is like, with a family of 10 kids, we all share the one steamed fish, and the Australian thought that a whole fish was for them, all right, so I think culturally that's how Westerners think of like these. That's why it costs so much to cook for a Western family. You know, you have like one steak each, or you have one fish each, all right? We Asians, we can cook an entire meal out of like the one fish by stretching it, by adding water and pulsing it, and then stuffing it into veggies, and then braising it, all right? Then you eat it with a lot of rice. So that's how it goes. Oh no, I never got email. Congrats for cheesecake. You gotta celebrate. What email? Hey, Mom used to make a pomelo skin soup. Really? Really? Oh, National Cheesecake Day. Is it Cheesecake Day? What email, Sammy? Oh, to say you went live. Oh, how strange is that? Oh, right. That's all right, Sammy. We'll let you off this time. I'm kidding. Well, there you go. So you know what? You tease me. Like, this is the second time I've heard of people eating pomelo. I never heard of that in the past. I'm trying to kind of like dig back into like my memory, right? To remember, to see if I remember like the old folks actually doing something with pomelo. So far, I can't remember it. KCM, make your own. Do you make your own minced fish? You sell minced fish in Hong Kong? Yeah, I make my own. It's so fast, so easy, and Johan would have seen it like a couple of times. But all you do, you buy the frozen bass fillets. I use bass fillets, okay, because you're overseas and you got to adapt and all that. Cut it into each fillet, cut it into about 3 or 4 chunks, and you throw it into your food processor with some tapioca starch, lots of white pepper, and I put chicken powder in it, right? Or you can just put salt and a bit of MSG in it, and you get fish paste from it. And this is what ends up as a result, all this food. And it's working again. But I need to go to another lecture. Oh. You and your lectures. Yeah, so there you go. Like I said, this is how we actually, it's just the same as when I make the seikao, the dumplings, like the wontons and all that. That's how we stretch the use of our prawn and all that, right? So what I do is like with the dumpling filling, I would use some prawn, but then double up with like chicken mince, and that gives you a prawny flavored filling, but it's not just pure prawn, you see. And then you use it in dumpling, and then you serve it with noodles. And that's how you end up with a budget meal, essentially. So you watch enough of my cooking, you'll be as healthy as me. And also you save a bunch on your cooking, right? But there you go, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget, my next draw is going to be later on this week, right? So the last time Remy won one of each of, let me just show it again. So we had 2 draws on Saturday, and Remy won both of them. Okay, so this is the video me microphone, right? And this is thanks for the stream. I can't go to lectures because I got holidays. Oh, right. Tragic. And this is the mini speaker. Okay, so I'm going to be drawing one of each again later on this week. Most likely, yeah, depending on my follow numbers. Most likely it'll be this Saturday, but it will definitely be this week, okay? And it's so easy to win, guys, because it's random. It really, first of all, you got to be a follower, and second of all, you have to be actually live to claim it, all right? It's so easy to win that 3 people already have won one of each of them, okay? And it's not like I give both of them per draw. I give them like on separate draws. So there you go. I've got a bunch more of these. I got a HFC U11. What's that? I just bought a Samsung S8. Do you really? That's the other thing I was gonna ask as well. That it looks like my next upgrade, like if I renew my Telstra contract, it's just gonna be automatically a Samsung S8, but HFC. But I'm interested in the Huawei. All right. So I'm gonna try and see if I can snaffle a free one. But yeah, we'll see anyway. So. But I'm interested in the latest Huawei. I think it's the whatever P10 or something like that. But otherwise it'll be a Samsung S8. But I'd like to be able to get a decent phone because my one is a little bit old. My one was already out of like see you on the next stream. Yeah. Anyway, okay, guys. Catch you again. Recipes will be already out on my website. Okay, which is jackiem.com.au. Don't forget to join my Discord server, which is just bit.ly/discordjackie, all lowercase. And that's where you can post your recipe requests or like recipe challenges, all right? And I will see you on my next broadcast, which is this coming Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Sydney time, which is GMT +10. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Great to have you guys again. Ciao.